Yes, thank you, Professor Manish. So I first of all welcome you all to the Indo-UK virtual conference, and especially those who have joined recently, including Professor Tiwari, Professor Amit, Prashant, Professor Vikrant Jay, and others. I think we have done a really good event this time with lots of speakers from abroad and also from India discussing many important points regarding the 5 C's of water vulnerability, which is actually the theme of our conference. And with this, I think I wouldn't take much time, and I would first of all like to introduce Professor Manish Kumar and Professor David Werner, who are the conveners of this conference. And I would request Professor David to kindly uh, tell about a brief about the conference and give an overview, both Professor Manish and Professor David. With that, I would also like to introduce
No.
Professor.
So, Falguni, I think we have been introduced. So I think, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, please continue.
So, David, you can you can tell about the origin of the conference, and then I will be talking about what happened in last 3 days, and then the other panelists will come in.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's really fantastic that this event was organized and came about, and as you might, have anticipated, the reason we did have this workshop, remote workshop, is because of all the restrictions on travel that are imposed on us with this pandemic. So IIT Gandhinagar and Newcastle, we've got this bilateral collaboration. We had, luckily, thankfully, a number of good exchanges of staff and students both ways, and we've learned a lot from each other. But then as we came to the end of our collaboration, all of a sudden we couldn't see each other physically anymore, and we had to think about other ways of continuing to engage with each other. And so this is one way of continuing that collaboration with this remote conference. Now, I'm just very glad that Manish set this up and made this happen, because I think it's still been a great way of connecting with other people and hearing what other people do while we are kind of locked into our bedrooms and offices and so forth. So I think there's actually good stuff from this pandemic that maybe we can take and learn from and use in the future, even when we can travel again. Because I assume a lot of the eminent speakers we had in this conference probably couldn't have taken the 5 days out of their busy work life that is needed to assemble, say, in IIT Gandhinagar to meet each other. So this is in a way a good way of connecting and hearing from each other, where we can kind of stay in our homes and still talk and share our research with each other. So again, I'm very pleased, I'm very happy how this came about and the outcome, and to hear so many different perspectives on the 5 C's of water vulnerability. And with that, I just pass on to Manish. You're mute.
Maybe I am nervous now. So, I mean, I think I said that you have been a great partner of this project, which was now concluding on January 5th. That is the last date of this project officially. And who could have been a better witness to see that is Professor Amit Prashant. Now he is in among the panelists. He has been also taking the pain for running this project and checking on it for last 2 years. Of course, the several members has come along, and this one was the when we had to put it things. And when we thought of this, and suddenly we got mail from DST that it is only up to 5th January we are allowing. I was, and then there is a Christmas holiday and like that. So that's why we had to do it hurriedly. But thanks to the, I mean, mind-blowing the arrangement or the system of IIT Gandhinagar, if you can think in the middle of the night, you want to do something creative, you can do it. And that's what is my experience, and that's what, of course, the systems are such in place that we could do it. Let me inform the chief guest of this session, Professor Tiwari, about that, what we have done in last 3 days. We have the participants from 5+ countries, and the 10 themes were discussed, and 360 officially registration has happened. With the help of 30+ guest speakers. We only missed the 2 people, and both are from the US, and both had, of course, because the time was really very early. So 10 themes that you can see, I will just give you only one or hardly 2 points, 2 take-home messages that was taken from there. So then it was started with the inaugural session, and there Dr. Rakesh Kumar, Director CSIR-NGRI, I know that your good dear friend, he has agreed to give the inaugural session. And there we talked about some various aspects, and we all were astonished to know that India has the most number of green cities, the green buildings. And Dr. Kumar has emphasized that India has an opportunity to make more green, sustainable cities because we are developing right now. He said, he also cited one example about the one builder who is using CFD or CFD model to show that, look, your building is better even if under climate change or air pollution. So he insisted on those things, and then of course the David and we come along. Professor Bimal Misra represented KPCSD, and he told that he is also want to add 6th C, that is collaboration, and KPCSD will be interested in that. The next session was on COVID. And these 3 guys are really very much productive in the COVID field. Arun Bivnis was the first author of this global collaboration on the paper published in ESNT. And others are from my friends from Tokyo University. But they honestly agreed that what the wastewater surveillance can help you is that to find whether something got infected. It can tell you that, okay, this system has no gene or nobody there. So Kitajima has informed us that for Tokyo Olympic, his team has been consulted to keep on monitoring the wastewater just to make sure that nobody is there who got infected already, because infection or the clinical symptoms will appear much later than the wastewater can show the indication. And they said that it depends on country to country that how many lag time will be there, 7 days, 3 days, 1 day, or 10 days. So that was one of the message. And of course, they also told that maybe in Japan also, like the universities has come up to implement this kind of surveillance. And IIT Gandhinagar is one of the kind who has even funded this project through KPCSD. And we are monitoring for last 6 months wastewater surveillance in the campus. Arun told that in University Notre Dame, they have been doing the same. And same was the experience with Kitajima. However, this municipal corporation in all countries is still watching that whether this technique is really doing well or necessitate the things, and then we discussed. It was an amazing session, personally for also to me. Then on day 2, there were environmental engineering solutions, and of course, David has presented his experience in Colombia, Cambodia, and other places. Then the next day, there was geogenic. We ended with on this geogenic where the Pankaj Saha, I heard him first time without slides, and he was on fire. Prashant has shared his experience on Sasmit. Abhijit has told that of course, how the fate and transport is important. But the panel discussion said that once something comes into the system, it is very difficult to remove them. So we have to trigger those aspects which lead arsenic or uranium come into the environment. With that note, we finished the one. Then the second day, this panel, all people appeared, all the 5 people, 2 from the UK, 1 from India, Dinesh Mohan, JNU, and 1 from USA, 1 from Sri Lanka. It was a very interesting thing, and they concluded that maybe removal and remediation cannot be done without understanding the process why this contamination has occurred. And the combined implementation is important, and reverse engineering is needed. And their natural process has to be implemented. And there maybe earth science or earth science related studies can help to get the environment get back to their pristine condition or the less contaminated state. Then the day 2, the second session was microbiological water equality, both presented from the UK, Singapore, and Gujarat. The GBRC, they told that this is a good time when microbiological water quality has been on the spotlight, and it's better that now the people and also the public, I mean the implementation agency can come together and do it on regular basis. Then this was a public health and conflict. From here, UNICEF, David himself presented, and GPCB, Central Pollution Control Board, represented. Their representative were there. CPCB has told that how they have used a research approach to implement their processes. It was very amazing to see that they are now also thinking with a similar brain or similar approach like any researcher will begin with. Naresh Tavani has told that how GPCB has helped us to take the wastewater surveillance, how they have kept monitoring going on during lockdown. So it was very pleasing to know that government agencies in India and particularly in Gujarat, how they are doing well and how they are doing it tirelessly. Yeah, David has given a complexion of the other countries' experience. And Syam Dabe, Dr. Syam Dabe has told that another C, 7th C about children. And he told that maybe water vulnerability is affecting them also very much. So, and then he highlighted the partnership with the IIT GN, under which he is doing wastewater surveillance of Ahmedabad. So then the entire Ahmedabad is being monitored from the wastewater surveillance from the last 5 months and so. Then the day 2 ended with this climate change aspect, and this only 3 people were enough to talk about. Professor Raghu told that monsoon prediction is a kind of not, and codex should be thrown, and that how the different models variation itself is too high to predict anything. Bimal Misra, of course, it was like the very unison and the different tunes and coming together and sounding like a pleasant music. So there were several aspects, that resilience and error, and then again uncertainties. In uncertainties, determination was highlighted. Then today, this day 3, we started with Daniel Snow, Kishore, and our Jian, who visited 2 times IIT Gandhinagar and stayed every visit 1 month in this campus. Kishore has told that how he started like somebody who don't like metagenomics, but how he ended up with developing a protocol lab in the suitcase, and he can go in any countries and determine the fecal contamination or several microbiological quality of the water. And it only cost 8 lakhs rupees. Maybe Professor Tiwari can, and also the Professor Kumar can implement such the moving labs. Then the Professor Snow told that how to maintain and how to do the precision, and rapid testing is needs to be corroborated with lab testing. And rapid testing is important, but not so. It has to be corroborated with lab testing. He emphasized that any pollutant is simply impossible to remove if it is a metal, like arsenic or fluoride. So what we need to do is that try to not let it be more polluted further. And Jian has talked about leakage detection, how leakage has been making a big amount of water that is being lost. Next, the session was river geomorphology. Our own the Professor Vikrant Jay was on fire in this session, and he has given a lot of thing about the discussion. The Professor Chandan Mahanta has given many fascinating pictures of Brahmaputra River and how there is a contrast of the problem exists in the India could have been appreciated. That in North India, we have the shrinking of the floodplains and the river, and in Brahmaputra, there is a shifting of the river is making major problem. Professor Ramanathan told that the dilution is not the solution of pollution because the many contaminants, even if it cannot be diluted, but that cause the toxicity in the very trace amounts. Then the last session before this one, you must have witnessed some part of it. However, these both guys were talking about the emerging contaminants and how the sediment role and water is important. How actually the sediment role was emphasized in the previous geomorphology thing also, in session also, that we don't need to see water in isolation, but it has to be seen through the interaction with soil and sediment. I think there, Professor Prashant can also will appreciate those findings. So these were all about that. Now, of course, I just like to thank Professor Tiwari to make it a grand, agreed to come here. And so, of course, that's all from my side.
Thank you, Professor Manish, for so wonderfully summarizing the sessions of this event. Next, I would like to invite Professor Vikrant Jay, who is the head of Earth Science discipline at IIT Gandhinagar. I would like to give a brief introduction to Professor Vikrant. He is a geomorphologist and a geoscientist, and his expertise is in the field of river science and health of the rivers, also in sustainable stream management. And he has used quantitative approaches for understanding cause-effect relationships in Earth surface processes at different spatio-temporal scales and to develop geomorphic tools for sustainable stream management. He's also been conferred many awards. And with this, I would like to hand over to Professor Vikrant Jay.
Many thanks, Falguni. And so I welcome again all to the panel member and the participants on behalf of the Earth Science discipline. And first, many congratulations to Manish Kumar. This is an excellent and very successful virtual conference. It is always very difficult to interact with the people from all the dimensions and to discuss about the common themes and everything in the virtual mode. So many congratulations to Professor Manish. At this meeting, I will take this opportunity to talk a bit about the Earth Science discipline here. Earth Science discipline at IIT Gandhinagar is the youngest discipline, and we started in 2013. It is 7-year time period, and it also among the smallest discipline. We are currently four career faculty members in these things, but we are able to make a significant impact at the national levels as well as the international levels. And some of the major things are there that as the earth science is an interdisciplinary things, and the major challenges in the scenario of climate change and anthropogenic, it is more interdisciplinary, and nowadays earth system science is the major crux. And this earth sciences activity at IIT Gandhinagar is also moving in that direction, and our aim is to work towards the earth system science areas. At present, our focus and strength is on waters and earth surface processes, which includes the climate change processes. And so major achievement is there that last year in the Nature Index, IIT Gandhinagar got the first rank among all the institute in India, which was a remarkable things. So even though there are only four faculty members are here, but right now there are more than 20 research projects are going on within the department with a total funding of more than 160 million rupees is this there. And it is not only the research project of funding, but the impact is more important. And some of these things are important that IIT Gandhinagar is currently involved in setting up of the Climate Change Research Center for the Gujarat state. It is also involved in the estimation of the submarine discharge estimation at the national level, and for all the assessment along the border of the Gujarat, the coastal region of the Gujarat, which is the largest coastal line in India, will be done at the IIT Gandhinagar, and Professor Manish Kumar is the PI for that. Also, Ministry of Earth Science has planned to set up a 4 critical zone observatory, and for the Western India, the critical zone observatory has been planned to set up with the help of IIT Gandhinagar and the PRL. And also in the recent series of this MHRD STAR scheme, where the number of projects have been applied on the applied sciences, 33% of the research projects all over India has been received at IIT Gandhinagar. It has been funded to IIT Gandhinagar is there. And also DST is planning to set up few of the climate excellence center, climate change excellence centers. And for Western India, they have decided, and they are in touch to setting one such center at IIT Gandhinagar. So it is all about making impact at the national stage and within the state part. And we are able to do it because we have realized that interdisciplinarity is very important for the growth of our science, or to provide solutions for the Earth-related problems are there. And that is where our strength is there. Our DNA of the institute is all about interdisciplinarity. It's very open culture. There is no such well-defined department. So students can take any courses, and then other students from other department can join the courses, and they can work with the faculty members. So right now we are able to make a very strong bonding with the other disciplines, mainly civil engineers, physics, electrical engineering, humanities and social science, chemical engineering, chemistry. So all the different dimensions it is going on, and that has helped us a lot about making an impact. So I will finish our talk, but again to highlight this part that we have shown this part that if Earth Sciences has to make an impact, it has to interact more with the faculty members of the other disciplines, and then make an impact in terms of the finding, and then also to provide the solutions for the real problems. So with this with this information, I again welcome you all, and then we hope that we will have more such meetings, and I think this pandemic situation will complete soon, and we will be able to invite you within our campus, and then we will discuss more. Thanks.
Thank you, Professor Vikrant. You have so wonderfully told about the institute and the interdisciplinary culture, and also about the activities which are going on in the earth science discipline. Thank you so much. I invite Professor Amit Prashant, who is the Dean R&D, and he has also been the ex-director at IIT Gandhinagar. He's been very instrumental in the research and development field, and bringing the projects of research and encouraging those amongst the faculty members. So I really appreciate the work which the R&D department has done at IIT Gandhinagar with the support of all the faculty members. I invite Professor Amit Prashant, and I would like to give a brief introduction of him. Professor Amit Prashant's expertise is in the modeling of granular materials, geotechnical structures, earthquake geotechnical engineering, and the application of geosynthetics. He has been involved in several projects, as Professor Manish had highlighted a few while ago, that about the soil and the foundation and the geotechnical related projects. I would now like to invite Professor Amit Prashant. So I hand it over to you.
Thank you, Falguni. It is my pleasure to be part of this conference. It is wonderful to see so many, I think, learned people from very focused area and with diverse background to come together and share their thoughts, communicate with each other. in a very, I think, conducive manner. As I understand, the C is a very interesting letter, I guess. I was thinking about it. So this 5 C's, very intriguing combination that I saw. And the more I thought, I thought C can be really productive letter in a way to produce many more encouraging words which can help us in, you can say, designing and propagating things. So for instance, to solve this complicated problem, which has all the complexity of nature and human dynamics, you can say, we need to have courage in making decisions in time. And if we delay, it will be more complications, further complications, you can say. And we have to have clear conscience to care about the sustainability, care about the future in a way. And of course, the solutions have to be creative. We cannot depend on the existing options that we have around. We have to be more and more creative with the challenge that is in front of us, right? And of course, the people here have different experiences, and we all have to channelize our energy. So the more we put ourselves together by channelizing our energy, the better solutions we will reach to. And of course, the purpose of this conference is to communicate with each other. And the more we communicate our thoughts with each other, the more clarity we will have how to go about it in future, in a way. So I mean, you can keep on adding more and more C's to your, I think, objectives. As I saw 2 new objectives that evolved during this conference itself. So that's wonderful to see. And I would say that I missed the opportunity of meeting all of you physically on campus, but I would like to take this opportunity and forum to invite you all to visit us whenever I think travel and the atmosphere around becomes more conducive. I think it's a different experience meeting people and having, you can say, conversation in casual manner. Besides these intense and dense conversations about very serious issues that you had on this. And of course, this is also important. And as somebody mentioned that it was possible because it was online, because of that, a lot of people could join for significant period. So that's equally important as well. But I would not miss the opportunity of meeting you physically as well. So let's find some excuses to, you can say, get you to our campus, beautiful campus that we have. I hope you could see some pictures of that, but definitely it will be wonderful to host you sometime. So I think, let me congratulate the team. Manish, wonderful job. And thank you for taking all the initiative. And David, it is great to see the collaboration that we have been building and all the support from DST and other places, Ukiri and so on. And of course, last but not the least, the most important person today, I guess, Tiwari ji. I think thank you for your wonderful initiatives and wonderful encouragement to all of us for taking your time out and putting your effort, putting energy in us to take things forward. So with that, I thank all the speakers and all the participants and wish them all the best for future. Thank you.
And you have taken the count from 7 to more than 20. So it was very nice. Yeah, Falguni.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you, Professor Amit Prashant. It was a wonderful thing which you had discussed, because this conference has been really possible, and to such an extent because of the points which you had mentioned, like it was an online and also the support from all the organizing members. Okay, so I would now actually invite Professor Dr. V.M. Tiwari, who is the director at CSIR-NGRI, National Geophysical Research Institute. He has done a lot of projects which are related to mass distribution and mass transport. And he's been involved in scientific and societal applications, such as elucidating structure and dynamics of different geological settings in Indian lithosphere, variation in water storage over Indian subcontinent, and mapping of sub-basaltic sediments. Besides well-cited research papers in leading journals, he has also contributed significantly to the oil and mineral industries. He is a recipient of many awards from INSA, CSIR, and so on. I would invite Dr. Tiwari to please take over. Sir, we look forward to your presentation.
Thank you, Falguni. It's really wonderful listening all of you. Professor Manish Kumar, Professor David Warner, two partners of her two sides of the same coin, the coin on which the vulnerability assessment, sustainability solutions for water quality management in the urban environment is engrossed. And Professor Amit, Prashant, and Professor Vikrant Jay, very learned professors from reputed Indian Institute of Technology, Gandhinagar. Participants, probably from 5+ countries, and very successful webinar meeting in which there had been a discussion on several subjects under 7 thematic sessions. Learning all from Manish had been very inspiring and educating. Thank you, Manish, and congratulations to both the PIs of the Indo-UK project as well as the organizers of this event. I was just got reminded when Professor Vikrant Jay was talking of the integrated science, interdisciplinary science, and I thought there cannot be any better substance than water, which integrates physical, biological, and chemical scientists together to look the properties, its movement, and its impacts on ecology and human. And that's how I think the planning of the 5C's had been very timely and very, I think, productive, particularly what Professor Amit Prashant has said, that the addition of the, particularly the new topic on COVID, probably first amongst the few meetings might have happened where people must have talked about the COVID-related mapping using the wastewaters. We also understand that water resources system, if we see, have a complex interaction with both social, ecology, subsystem, and that's how when we talk, we need to see, particularly when we are talking of contamination, we are talking of the natural and anthropogenic both together. For countries like India, and I would say India is very important in the sense because the large part of the humanity stay, the big possibilities of making the large impact on the world economy comes from India, and therefore the well-being of Indian population is very important. And when we talk of the well-being of people, we cannot go away from the issues related with the water. And India, though the project which was focused and delivered very nicely on the urban environment, but we must realize the fact that more than 90% of the water in country like India is used for the agricultural purposes. And as Professor Warner talked about the food water quality nexus, certainly the agriculture nexus to the food and water quality has to be studied. The water availability is one of the constraints for the crop production and food security. And that's how all discussions which we had during few days of the interactions from the learned colleagues from the different countries and the participants must have led to a very interesting outcomes, and few of that very nicely summarized by Manish. Understanding the water resources system and its exposure to the stresses are vital to secure and increase world and food production to feed its growing population, and it's very important for the countries like India. Making them vulnerable to changes of the water availability and water quality is going to be one of the big challenge, and in fact is big challenge in the several parts of the world, including India. And the water systems, we are seeing that being transformed through land use, land cover changes, urbanization, industrialization, and several many other man-made systems such as reservoirs, and we have the different way of irrigating the crops, and the recent discussions which is going on about the interbasin water transfer and so on might impact even the water system at a very large extent. And in view of all these, water resources system required to be studied in much more detail, bringing the scientists and researchers from the different disciplines, including from the social sciences and ecology. I understand that there had been a discussion on the climate changes, but the other stresses such as increasing population, and this I think this is another stress which comes on the different ways impacting the water availability and water quality, socio-economic growth, and the changes in the land usage are need to be studied in much more detail. In nutshell, I would not take long to again narrate few of the points which must have already been discussed, but I must tell again and again that the vulnerability related with the water is growing very fast, and you must have learned, or if not, even there are companies in the United States which are registered now in the stock exchange on the water. So in future, the water does not only remain the matter of discussion, research, and planning, it becomes very much the issues related to the business. Vulnerability is not a kind of people when we have been talking a theoretical concept, and that we have not been able to measure, quantify it nowadays, with having the different ways of providing the weightage factors of the impacting the water resources can be very well quantified. And with these quantifications, whether the related with the quality of the water or whether the water management, I do see that there are discussions held on the geogenic contaminants and the management through the natural water management ways, through diluting the groundwater resources by man-made reservoirs or percolation tanks. So what I found through going through all the topics discussed cover almost most of the issues where the water sciences required to be addressed. And at the same time, I had added a new dimension of thinking of how wastewater, particularly in the view of the COVID, can be used for vulnerability mapping. And therefore, I think that the outcome of this meeting could be put in a documented way for the larger benefit of the society, as well as we can think of evolving some of the programs through the participating scientists in the areas which are important in the different countries. Could be the India, UK, or it could be the India, Japan, or it could be any other countries where the participants found to be excited about the science of doing the science of the water. So with this remark, I also feel very privileged to be part of the fraternity and discussion at IIT Gandhinagar, and I once again compliment the IIT Gandhinagar organizers and especially Professor Manish Kumar for taking such a nice initiative of interacting, though virtually, on a very important topic for this country and for the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Tiwari, for such wonderful insights on the topic of the conference and your thoughts on the way ahead.
Just one thing I want Professor Amit Prashant to note, that when I was inviting Professor Tiwari and very late, and then he said, okay, if it is for IIT Gandhinagar, I will come. So thank you very much. And
great appreciation, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And he mentioned our science and the relationships. This is really nice. Thank you.
Many thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Tiwari, once again. I see Dr. Carrie Weber here amongst us, the panelists, and I would like to invite her for a few words because she has been one of the stalwarts in the field of contaminants of emerging concern, and I would like to introduce her first, and would like to hear a few words from you, Dr. Weber. So let me introduce Dr. Weber to all. Dr. Weber is Associate Professor and Director of Microbiology Program at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, with an application in the School of Biological Sciences and Department of Earth and Atmospheric Sciences. She is globally recognized for her research that has demonstrated microbial interactions that couple nitrogen and metal or radionuclide cycling that impacts contaminant mobility in aquifers and saturated soils and sediment systems. Dr. Weber, over to you. I would like to hear a few words from you.
All right, well, thank you all. And this is a great session, and I'm sorry I was joining late this morning, so apologies. And I may have to cut my video if I start having connectivity issues. That seems to be common the last couple days. So, but briefly, just to highlight with the session and consider that one of the challenges that is present in natural systems, of the inputs of anthropogenic contaminants, there can be unrecognized consequences. And that's something that we have been focusing on here at UNL, and starting to consider how nitrate inputs might start to alter the natural system and release once a sequestered heavy metal or radionuclide. And we've been focusing on uranium specifically. And we've done quite a bit of research. And what we've also found is that this isn't abiotic, but the microorganisms that are in these environments, they're playing a pivotal and critical role in controlling not only removal of nitrate, but as they remove nitrate, they do create reactive intermediates such as nitrite, which can then react with some of these other redox sensitive compounds and release them back into solution. And of course, here we have a chemistry that can promote, say, uranium mobility by the carbonate ligands that are present in that environment. So one of the things that I had mentioned to Manish that I would comment on is that generally speaking, when we start thinking about the input of any chemical or element into the environment, that we also must consider how microorganisms are going to interact with it. Are there intermediates that can be formed? Are those intermediates themselves toxic, or are those intermediates going to potentially create a condition in which would also mobilize contaminants? And like I mentioned right at the beginning before I began speaking, was that considering, we've been working on nitrate and the mobilization of uranium. Nitrate itself isn't a ligand for uranium, but what it does is it does create a reactive intermediate of nitrite, and that nitrite reacts with U4, which is in the solid phase, and oxidizes the uranium to the hexavalent state, which can then complex with ligands such as carbonate, increasing mobility. So short and sweet, Manish.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly.
Happy to answer questions.
What is the time there? You are unmuted. I'm in the muted. Yeah.
It's 8:53.
Okay, now. Okay, fine.
With this, I'd like to conclude the session, and I would like to thank all the speakers who had kindly consented to be a part of this conference and have shared interesting thoughts on the topic of the conference. I would like to specially thank those who had as we know that this conference was in a very short notice, but still you all have kindly consented and have agreed to be a part of this conference. And it was really nice to hear about some recent research and recent work which you all are doing in your respective fields. And I am very sure that we are also going to share these videos on YouTube, and I'm sure that people are going to look at these and learn many things about the discussion themes which we had in this conference. I would like to thank Professor Manish Kumar and Professor David Werner who are the conveners of this session and of this conference, sorry. And I think I'm really thankful to both of you for this Indo-UK virtual conference and this project which we are doing. I would like to also thank Professor Amit Prashant, Professor Vikrant Jay, Professor Vimal Mishra. Professor Vimal Mishra is the co-coordinator of the Center for Sustainable Development, is here with us also. Dr. V.M. Tiwari, who has given us a concluding remarks of this session, which was really important, and I think we all have learned many things which he actually very interestingly put in this session. So thank you, Dr. Tiwari, very much. I would like to thank all the speakers who are there with us, and Dr. Kishore Acharya, Dr. Jian Zhang, Dr. Uppal Ghosh. Thank you so much for your interesting thoughts. Dr. Carrie Weber, who joined us late, but I think your words were really important, and we got an insight of the theme, Contaminants of Emerging Concern. I would like to specially thank Alok, who was one of the organizing member of our team, and he had wonderfully supported for organizing this conference. And I'd also like to thank all the organizing members who were involved in organizing this conference in different ways, like the communication team and the IT team and all other members who are really important for conducting this conference in a successful manner. And last but not the least, I would like to thank all the participants for their wonderful questions, because it actually encouraged a discussion, and it actually also put some thoughts of the stalwarts who were there with us to share their thoughts on those type of questions. So with this, I would like to thank one and all. And I'd like to now hand it over to Professor Manish, if you'd like to say anything.
Yeah, I think the only one sentence left is that you tailored it very nicely, Falguni Taylor. So the different themes were put together because of your help. And what an asset you have been for KPCSD and for us and for IIT. So once again, good night, everybody, and have a good day ahead, David Werner. And Uppal, you are going to have the whole day in front of you. So thank you once again, Tiwari sir and Amit Prashant sir, because this is many times he put the obstacle, but I saw that why it is. All the time I feel that, okay, thank you very much for putting and asking me that questions. And that makes me very silly, the good sleep at the end of the time. So it is, thank you so much for overseeing, steering this project, because no paper passes without without he looking at it. So so thank you very much for all the pain, and thank you very much for coming here and adding 13 or more than 13C to our this one, and how you put it in the sentence. Vikrant Jay is always, I don't even need to seek sometimes the formal permission and go ahead. But the end would have been not possible this grand if Professor Tiwari would have been not consented here. So thank you very much, one and everyone, and then also those participants who are listening.
Thank you.